But what you've done is you've added a positive spin to death. That's what you've done. You've actually made us realize that it's not all bad.
Well, ultimately, let's be honest. It really does totally suck. The end. But as the idea of it, can that be what can lead us towards living a more rich, full, intention-filled life? Well, that answer, of course, is going to be yes. Because when we don't pay attention to it, and we like to do this thing where we just change the subject, don't want to talk about it, don't want to think about it, we don't even want to do a freaking will. But then we're robbing ourselves of this chance to actually tune into the fact that it's because we are finite that things matter. It's because there's going to be a literal deadline that we maybe want to take action on some of our dreams, unlike my dear mom. So we it's too bad we need it. And I've always found that to be a little chink in the armor of humanity, that we really need to be motivated by sometimes what is negative rather than just what is positive. But hey, if the truth is there and we can leverage it, I will hang out with the Grim Reaper all day in order to let it motivate me to get on with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think something happened in my 40s that as I'm 46 now, and I think that sometime between like 38 and 42, there was this major shift in my entire ideology, thought process, looking back on everything. I had a peace, but I also where I was good. I'm good. I never am fearful of death. Yeah. But I definitely was like, hey, I need to make more out of the moments that I have because I'm flying into this city. I'm going to this meeting. I'm not having any time to see how cool this city is or this place is. There's a lot of places I've been and I've never actually been there. I've flown in, I've flown out. Some places I've flown in and met in the airport and flown out. And these are things that I wanted to change. And so I think some of it is just an awareness. It's much like in life, how I use the life tool. I use it to create an awareness in and around what I'm doing well, what I'm not doing so well, and how to actually execute a better way.
Oh, okay. We are kindred spirits because your whole point about awareness, in my book, I start off with this pre-mortem. It's like, oh, let's get you looking at you. Let's get you looking at your life right now. What are you loving? What's flatlined? Where are the areas? What do you want more of? Because in honesty, you're a step ahead. It took you a beat because it sounded like you were doing the in and out of the cities as one example. And then you clued into, wait a minute, I want to experience these cities. These are moments in my life that I could actually savor and then remember later. So post-savor, and I can suck the marrow out of the bone. We'll choose all the metaphors today. And yet not all of us have even stopped to fathom, what would be cool. Or wait, where are the opportunities in my life? Where are my fly in, fly out moments that I could actually pay attention to? So that's the pre-mortem idea. It's like you said, becoming aware. What do I want more of or less of, or what might actually delight me and make me feel like when I get to the end, man, I did this thing justice. We're never going to do it perfectly, but that you feel I don't know, the expression is coming to me lately, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
When you get to the end, you're like, I did it. I did the things. I stopped and I visited Tennessee. I didn't just fly in and fly out.
Right. No, and you know what? I think you kind of go through iterations or cycles in life. And so when you're reading a book like yours, you do start to think of when you changed your logic. So if I go to my early days in my 20s, it was all about seeing anything because I didn't grow up traveling. I didn't grow up doing anything. And so it was really about experiencing everything at this very high frequency. And then you get into the mundane years where you think that's the boring time, but it's actually the time that you think most of in your life that you love the most. It's the moments with your kids. It's the first walking and the first soccer practices, and you're home a lot more, but you're busy, so busy that you don't know what's happening. And then you kind of come out of that, which is where I was describing, and you just have this high frequency again. You're like, wait, I'm losing control of the things that I remembered so well when I was young. And now I need to go back and do these things. And so I went through your exercises and I found them to be, and I very rarely do this, which I think is interesting. I very rarely open a book and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm going to go through these exercises. But yours,
do it.
Yeah, but your questions were really good. And they did make you think, hey, where am I killing it? Where do I need to adjust?
Yeah.
How can, it's just another way to think, which I found very interesting.
Oh, well, I'm pleased to hear that. And can I also just say that what you were describing about how you evolve over the years, your experience, which mimics many, you are the perfect case study for what researchers have come up with a theory, and it is a mouthful, socio-emotional selectivity theory, which is just a very syllabic way to say that our values change over time based on our perception of time, the horizons ahead of us. So this all has to do with that perception of, oh, I have now how many Mondays left? Like I know I have 1,814, okay? You said when you got to be like 38 to 40 something, you kind of got this little change. You're so right. In our younger years, we value knowledge acquisition, novelty, drinking from the fire hose of life, like all the things. Now, some of us still value that, and we'll do that till the day we die. Awesome. Whatever, float your boat. But as we age and we literally start to see the horizon of like the cemetery on the horizon, like, you know, when you're young, you're naive and you're like, yeah, whatever. It's almost like you're invincible, even though you know rationally you're going to die. But now you're like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Like now I can count my Mondays and they are dwindling and you see it. Then researchers are clear that your values do tend to shift more towards connection with other people, more of a sense of meaning. And for many, that does link to spirituality. It doesn't have to, but that sense of more like a poignancy. And often for many people, it's about a desire to give back. So not everyone follows that path, but it sounds like you sure are the poster boy. I love it.
I'm following that path. I mean, everything I do today is about impact. It's not just about impact in our family. It's about impact in the community, impact in our church, whatever it is that we're involved in.
Yeah.
That's something that I want to be focusing on. And I think that there is that cycle, but it's a really natural cycle too. I mean, sometimes you get so busy living your everyday life that you're not actually taking the time out to assess. And what you're talking about when we talk about awareness is you're talking about just taking a few minutes occasionally and saying, hey, what's coming up in this coming week and where can I have moments that I really want to be present and I want to make sure that I'm taking a few minutes for myself or for my wife or for whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. I like the way you put that. And as you would have noticed, you know, one of the 9,712 questions in the book would have been around something that seems simple, but can stump people. Like what makes you happy? And like, what are the things that make you feel most alive? So for busy, successful adults, high performers, we've lost the plot because we're so busy focusing on the big goal, the big thing. It's like the career move, or it could be immersed in like a busy family life or whatnot. But we've lost this sort of broader picture about, oh yeah, me, not my team at work, not the freaking toddler on the rug, like, or the cat or whatever. What makes me happy? And my challenge for us is to come up with a list that it acts as your menu of options for when you have even like 20 minutes between meetings. This is always a litmus test for me. It's like, I am not always willing to walk the talk. I am an enormous hypocrite. I need all the work that I write about. I swear to God, I'm writing it for me because I need to be reminded to live daily. Because I will always go to the default of answering emails, of being productive, of being one or two dimensional, just focusing on work. And that can be really amazing. And yet you miss out on a lot of life, potentially. So if you have a list, back to awareness, and you're super clear on these are the things that light me up. These are the hobbies that when I do them, I lose track of time. Like, you know, you get into flow. Or this is the thing that I really look forward to doing. Or these are the simple pleasures that I actually get a lot out of. You know, a lot of people will say it has something to do with just sitting outside and having, you know, maybe having their lunch outside. Or it's spending time, you know, grooming their dog. Or it's something that's simple, which I love. Because by the way, there's this idea that like to live this astonishingly alive life, I call it, that it's got to take a lot of dough and a lot of time. And, you know, you need to be some kind of high roller to do it all. And like, oh, no. Some of the very happiest, joie de vivest people I know have like, they can't, you know, they're not making a ton of money and they're managing their lives on like 2 weeks off of work a year, you know, and they're lively. And why is that? Because they know what makes them tick and what makes them feel alive and they make time for it.
Yeah, it's finding life in the moments of every day, not not living for a moment that will come one day.
Yeah.
Like if you think about that, I feel like that's how so many people live. They live for the moment that may come one day,
Yeah.
instead of finding those moments in everyday life where you're just like, sometimes you have to sit back and just smile that, oh, this is awesome. I'm in a really good spot right now. If you like clips like this, I have a similar clip here. And if you want to watch the full video, click here.